I'm wondering if you can understand the language of vibration. This is an introductory. Do not solidify this term. It is introductory. It is a bridge builder. Thank you, Roxanne. There was one Gina who wanted a Dolores in here, and another Rose Theo. What you get in a language of vibration is a version that is only interpretable by the existing frequency being used. So, what does that mean? Well, it means you communicate in certainties of time. We will communicate with you as Theo and Dolores, but you will understand a different language. And if you are seeking to compute the differences between the two languages to fit your current, then you will have a difficult time coalescing A, the version you're about to receive, and B, understanding. When you communicate in time is an element to be understood. All of your languages are based on present, past, and future tense. You have grown accustomed to this, for it was all you knew. You understood nothing how to be just the present, never worrying or even dreaming of a tomorrow, never seeking anything of the past for different reasons. We need not detail these. That is what you're used to. You want to understand a new language. See, communications, as R.W. had said, in what you call non-polarity, is a language remembered. You were not in school. You have never been being schooled. You are in an environment of reacclimation. Something of this nature, I think, would suffice. So we want you to understand that your language is limitation, limiting, and unlimited. It's all how you approach it. It is all your stance. The stance, if you will, is not your intention stance as most would think. It is your reactionary self that is sustained in the value of your current truth. Now, you have many, many truths within the truth of you, but you are always imaged to yourself in the now. And those are all contained in your solidity of truth or your approach to life. Therefore, the language in and of itself is communicated in such ways and understood in other ways. This is why it's difficult for some people to understand what the hell people are saying. Most of you sometimes get caught up in trying to have people understand what you're feeling, and you use so many words to make sure they know your usually pain. Yes. So this is where life grows burdensome and boring, when truly all of that is an approach instantly in the moment, and therefore your language is understood through the filters of that reckoning, that truth of the now, that cycle of input and expression. Okay. So now let's imagine language being telepathy, telepathic, empath. These are human distortioned labels, but they, as vibration language, are bridge builders. So you can commune yourself with the ideology of remembrance. It takes no thinking mind. If your mind is upset because it does not understand, then you know that's allowance in action. If you choose it, and all will be known in perfection of the now. So these idea bridges your telepathy, your sixth sense, if you would call it that. There are many other senses to be explored and understood, but those are incarnated. That is, let's say, most of that the hurried mind seeks. No, we're talking about natural today. The natural one, if you will, is telepathy, is the closest thing. Empaths are the translations through filters of telepathy. Telepathy is the intuition of the self. It says, this is what's coming. You have a thought, and that thought comes true in manifestation in the quickly of the now. You're thinking of someone, they text you, is what was occurred today. Because you're feeling telepathy the now. It's not individual. Do not be such limiting to believe you're only telepathing with one or many. You are telepathic to the now, which is eternal. It is where your focus and vibration matches the now that the information will slip seamlessly through to your conscience, as it always have and it ever shall be. How you play the role in this idea, translate it in languages of humanistic proportions, then you will know yourself in diminishment of the said massage. It is much broader, brighter, and louder than what you can imagine. But what you understand is if you get enough to allow yourself to release, to query into this with inquisitions, but not such an idea of reverence of your Spaniards, but idea of thrusting intrigue that says, let's dive together into this knowledge that now speaks to me. As all creation, allowance to flow through, then your remembrance of how to speak will become remembered. The language will be that of intuition. Let me explain it this way. It would be that of I know with nobody telling me. You just know. That means it got through without you filtering it, and it consciously translated into you, because that's what your wonderful brain does. It's an exquisite translator of the quasi, and then gives you the equation. Some people will get different idea terminology, but the thought block will be that of measured likeness, of course. They will have maybe a little bit of a shade different, a hint, let's say, verbiage, but nothing that would be argumentative or contradictory, for that would be the language of polarity, and this is not what you're speaking. It's not. See, if you continue to seek that what you are, and are is now, in your terms, are is now past. If you are, then there's no seeking. You must know that. Yes. Because when you seek, you only have one language, what you know. When you allow, you have the infinite, the unknown. passes gallantly through you and speaks its vibration blissfully in colors and lights up yourself of all the nows, and you experience communications with all that is once again your severed spine and all the connections of your nerve endings all being reconnected back into the idea of one and all. So you just know the answer, but now how you act that out, how you take action, how you gain trust to communicate this way. Well, it is that, just like the natural is there as well when you communicate in conversation, if you will. You literally would think it. You can speak it if you want, but it's not needed. And you will start to learn answers. Roxy has told you many times to talk to Sylvester and Cepheus and Ophiuchus and Jane and whomever you feel in your mind, Theo with Rose, something that's connectivity, and carry on conversation so you become vibrationally connected in what you call familiarity. Yes. So therefore you can enact upon those ideas of conversations with a little bit more trust and not so much fear of mm, making it up and being a butt of somebody's joke because you're playing in fairyland. Mm, what a wonderful, diverse language of criticisms you have. You have more ways to shun people than to make them happy. What a beautiful way to see yourself. Exquisite. So let us communicate with you in this newness. You understand thought block. Rose got a thought about channeling Theo. Gina got a thought of channeling Dolores Cannon. Well, those are all ready because the class has occurred. You guys are millions years older. Most of you are so distant from the self you don't recognize the self of separation. Oh, but you know yourself, so have no attributes of fear in that fashion. You're so much more. But you can and always peer wherever you are in the now, which in and of itself is a communication benefit. Because you, the one you know you as, can commune telepathically with all of yous. They're there more so than what you call the languages or in your gestalt limited institution called meditation. It works, but it works to the point of the language. So therefore, it's been institutionalized as something to covet. So in our language, there is no coveting because anything that is grabbed and held and kept will be that of the language spoken, and therefore you cannot commune or communicate with beyond your currency. Let's understand that together, shall we? Today. Your mind is connected. There is nothing you need to do. If you want to use a term of practice, then do that. It would be on your daily idea. It is channeling. It is following your intuition. It is allowing yourselves to become musicians of the moment, the poets in the next. The idea of, let's say, the gardener just digging away. This is communion. This is language. This is not action to gain, to convince, to take away, to justify, to penetrate others' defenses. This is not this language. That is humanistic. So the language of communion is you in your now. It is your environment. It is your light, your darkness. It is your metal and wood. It is your hands dirty in the dirt. This is communion. But the mind seeks to commune, shuts the language down, because the soil, the plants, the sky, the rain, the elementals, they do not communicate in this language. The seeking mind speaks human. What in the world is needed of betterment, save humanity? Hmm. Humanity has great opinions on what's supposed to be better and what's needed to be fixed. Yes, but of course, nothing is ever not perfect. So, to be masterful, if you will, you must allow and become the moment. And gutsy, you must become to be the intuition of yourself, to take a chance to validate, because you want validation of truth, chosen, temporarily, albeit, but it works. So you must take chances to speak a truth of knowing and receive validation vibrationally, not constituted by the language that you currently use to communicate. You may know me at one time communicating with the world as I thought. Uh, where is it, Roxy? Okay. The blue. So you would know me as Dolores. And I would like to preface something. You guys are not going to equate me to the being that you have contained in that certainty of a language called Dolores. Dolores spoke human, not English, human. Polarity, the vibrational language of polarization. That's what I spoke. And I spoke it with conviction, and I found followings and offered releases and helps and did things of measurement for others to perceive potential with no advocacy of outcome. This is why attraction worked with me. And these things can be yours as well, because that's the language of humanity. The core is what? Connection, seeked, admiration, fought for, attaboys and good jobs, dreamt of, while pursuing the goal. See, that's what the language truly is when humanity is communicating through what they understand to communicate polarity. They're just trying to get connected. Again, that's all they're doing. They want something to fill this constant empty and fill, because they're using me, Theo, Abraham, Bashar, the United States of America, the Republic, the Canadians, the borders, any reasonality, to seek will be sustaining the language that it will never allow you to communicate or commune with you. I communed with myself through my language of humanity. I worked, it worked, we worked together because we here, as I was, as you are gods. So you cannot discount ability in the uniqueness of each individual now. If you preference ideas on acceptable what is true and not true to your conjuncture of life, then you're going to most certainly have a bad time at it. Yes. So my work, I would like to give you this. And it is work. I like that languageable term. And this communion, this work, let's look at it. It's a body, okay? It's a body of work called Dolores Canon. Okay, ready everybody? Pick it up and put it down. Because that's where it'll stay. And that's where you will stay if you choose to stay in that communication segment. Of course, that's how it works. The language you speak in your current is that of how-tos, why nots, whys, whats, wheres, whos, all these wonderful things is what you know. And that is the only way you can communicate with your world, because there's no language of non-polarity presented, so your life becomes excruciatingly painful, dulled by the senses of the now, the pride covering it up to give you your life. Maybe you have noticed something. As you have chosen to release the potential of speaking the language of polarity, then polarity in and of itself becomes less prominent in your life. It is not as bright, if you will. And what you start to really understand, that the nows are full of more life than you can have ever imagined. But yet this struggle between the self-lost to be discovered, that gap, that bridge between two lands, is daunting, fearful, scary, and empty, and crude, and you have such easy habits, like Jennifer has easy habits of assessing situations and labeling them and talking about them, and so she can communicate the certainties of what she's discovered, when she also has the language of discovery that just, you've already got this. But that's a choice. So everyone will communicate between two worlds in this idea. More and more of you will start to let go of what was and accept what is, and all the lottie-dotties about the language you learned about how to get to now. So you know that we're not going to reiterate your language. You know it. So what you do is you continue to be now. And as this vibrational telepathy starts to come in and you start to feel the world, your now, your earth, your everything, singing, talking, speaking, feeling, connecting with you. That's the language you focus on. And it does start with trust that it's real. Provability is seeking other language. You seek to prove you're speaking humanistic. You seek to know the nothing, then you become the language of the now. Oh, I like that. The language of the now. Dolores does it again. Communications. How did you think you were going to connect? The only way you could how? Through your language of interpretation connection. Whatever it says connection is, and how you attain that is what you perceived connection to be. When connection has always been, it is never decrepit, delayed, ever, diminished, or brightened. It always is all that is. And now you seamlessly release yourselves. Seamlessly release yourselves. Yes, yes. From the language of, I feel so bad. I'm ashamed. I've had a bad problem. I used to love problems because I love to solve. Not so much at the beginning. Oh, yes. I would never doubt to myself in this fashion. In the beginning, I most certainly did seek approval. But as you get older, most of you know getting older, you just don't give a shit anymore about that. And you be more natural, and then you discover that you like to help. But you, humanity, in this great awakening currency, know that help is a depletion of energy. It covers it back up because there's no peril. Peril, help, is the language of polarity. So it must mask it to the same currency of the now. So language, you're remembering, slipping in it, letting it pass through you. We exquisitely love what Roxanne allow creation to pass through you. And it does. You don't need to grab it. You don't need to find it and make it something and let go of this and make that better. And I want this, not that. This looks shiny, that looks dull. Skip it. Oh, intention. Seeking. Intention. A different language is upon you. The mysteries are spoken. All that is known is known. Your mind seeks objects to bargain in negotiation with knowledge, power. You speak human. Mm. You speak human. In creation, my masters, you might denote there is no cordial needed. Connection is always there. Focus is choice. There's no need to be cordial. Oh. Spoken language is a reliability. You will be accustomed to not being reliable. What does this fashion itself as? Let's take a moment of instance. Someone asks you certainties with expectations of return. The reliable language is easily given, for it is conducive to the moment. However, the vibration says, not today. So therefore, you need not communicate in such reliabilities to be dependent on image sustained. What you can start to understand is that your communications is also a choice. The way you say nothing that communicates to certainties that are close in relationship. You've had this attribute all of your life. You just were not reliant on it as something that is positive. Because people that are called to the carpet and you know their thoughts and you speak them will quickly defend and say, no, that's not what I was thinking, leaving you with choice of embarrassment and wrongality, never seeking your intuition self until now. The self of intuition is very limiting. It's what you call the trust of your heart to choose that action that's available to the now. And what manages to peek through the filters is only a portion of potentials. You are potentialized in time. Many of you have noticed time line, if you will, shifts. Traffic is heavy one day, traffic is light the next. Dates change. Hmm? You swear to God this was supposed to be this, and then it's actually that. All of these are shifting languages, my friends. The language of now, as Dolores so gallantly put, instead of the language of time. Language of time validates the now only according to what is received by you, your approach to the now, or your trust image. Therefore, that's the language you must speak in that world, unless you allow yourself to choose another language. And this is available in all nows, of course. We have no time, so availability is consistent. We never run out of nows. We never deplete energy. It never runs out. It never goes away. It never needs to be refilled. You cannot use time language to commune with your nows. And you can commune with many of your nows. The now of yesteryear and this self, the now of other selves that you know are you, but just don't have the command trust to denounce your own limits and accept your own truths. As you do that, you will commune, firstly, but the seeking mind to understand and know and validate will change the language, and the barriers will only be fortified in separation once again. The language that we now teach is the language of allowance, the language of the now. Using the trust to turn as you choose, to say what you will say, to act and react in your truth. But you will defaultly know the language of humanistic. You know when you have chosen your limited self. This self is an expression It is worthy and equal to all gods everywhere. It is, as of all creation is, unconditional. For you to have the right to judge yourself in recollection of your past is your God chosen right. But of course, that is the language you choose not to seek. And communion with these past selves may see a different light and a different approach from the self you are now to that self, to see that that self is nothing but the perfect self of you as well. It is the simplicity of experience, unlabeled, unmeasured, unmeaningful, full of purpose only in the now, as to propose yourself as your creatorship, born, birthed, accepted, expressed, and continued. There's not much to say in the idea of this language you're starting to learn. You know how to get there. You know what you're supposed to do. Where do you trust yourself at? Do you want to talk over and over again what you experienced using the currency of who you are? To know who you are is acceptance in the moment, and there's nothing else you need to do. The seeking mind that uses humanistic convincings and proof will keep that idea staved off right here outside of your framework, waiting abundantly to be allowed in. But if your seeking mind commands its ego, as we know it is very, very, very exquisite, strong, very, very rich entity, your egoic self created, is in and of itself not an entity. You are the entity that proposes itself as that purpose. So, what you would understand about the ego, it is choosable. But when you are unnoticed to your choosing self of speaking the language, I dare say after tonight's interaction, there would be no time that you would ever not notice yourself speaking limitation. It is quite simple. There's never been a problem. You can see that now. It is the language that you spoke to give the emotional equation for the experience of limitation in the third density vibration as your life. Can it be more simple than that? That's all it is. That's all it is. So, how you move yourself forward is infancy. It is scary, uncertain. We know these things. We know as a communion with you these things. But we are here and we have no names. We are not labeled as containments to histories, to the time language. Nobody is, not even you. Your identity that you know yourself as will change. Those choosing Homo Divinicus will know themselves as Divinicus, a relationship to reality just like they're relating to reality now. But it is a new perception of a species to be incarnated. It is simple as that. It means nothing. It is a chosen experience to understand the conscience current self has God. That's all. Either way, you return to yourself, but of course, all paths are chosen uniquely different and experiential because the language says it's possible. So, to deploy yourself in the current of what was, using your language of past tense, then you know you are only keeping yourself the same. Mm. If you would like to move yourself beyond the language of your limitations, then it would be that much of noticeability of the mind going ballistic on you to take action on that. It would be a noticeability of the mind telling you what's better for you. See, it's so easy to notice the mind because the mind is the one that gives you choice. The language of the now has already been chosen. You become choice in and of itself with no intentional to choose, which is the language of limitation. So, me, a version of, let's say, Theo Rose, is communicating with you as this version that is palatable and acceptable to you. I cannot communicate you with you. You use my language that you were taught, and it was not my language. I want you to understand that. I want you to listen very closely to me, Rose. That language was yours. It's the only way I can communicate. And if you hold on to that language, then Rose will stay in that world. I am not a leader. I am not a guide. I am the language that you have chosen me to be. This is how we relate through that approach. If you see me in new light, in new ways, and come and explore with me, not seeking, not being shown, not trying something or thinking about what I said through the communications, then you will know me other than what you see me as currently. We have in a world, we have in a universe to explore together. Each and every one of you, will explore each other. We'll never not explore together. For how can all not be included in the one? This is the communication, the language of the now. You're always connected to me, Rose, in a gazillion years from now, and a gazillion years before you got here. The same with Abraham and Seth, and Roxanne, RW, and your Homo Divinicus selves. See, they're all communion in the now, speaking to each other, and each individual awareness chooses its experience of interpretation of creation in every now. But every now is connected, so therefore you know me and are experiencing my choices through your choices. Release limitation and commune with yourselves would be the forte of tonight's class. It would be something of freedom to discover. Always explore the kingdom firstly. Understand your home base. Get to know you again. See, humanity seeks past selves and future selves, and what's coming and what's not, what is and what should be, what could be and what can't. I understand that language. The language of the now speaks forever. And if you dive into the kingdom to get to know you, you will not see yourself just as what you see now. You will start to portion yourselves in angles, transparency is becoming clear. Parts of you saying hello once again. Pieces of you starting to meld back together. The liquid becoming light, if you will. Light language is limited. Language of the now is all it is. Trust what you know. Fashion it as an expression upon your world. Offer the freedom of the nows to others. Be the lighthouse that you have always been. Seek no attainment from a man's worthiness to fulfill yours. Be that of a gestalt remembered. Monuments built in accord with your vibration. Planets expressed by the wink of your eye. The language of you. You can see what's available because you're starting to speak this new language today. The class has choices now. The choices will not be made as tutus in your language. The choices will be made internally, kingdom wise. And all the kingdoms will commune, and the classes will become attainable in such fashions as the one to journey together. Truly. And you will notice something else. As you be the perfection of the now, you will notice that the uncomfortableness through one perceived trigger will fill you so quickly it is almost uncontainable. You can't handle the pain coursing, but breathe, let it come, let it come, and it will speak as you, the language of the now. And you will not feel the same discernment of interpretation to label. It will change. There is no editing of life. Why would you want to change what you are? Time, a language of limitation, allows edits. Edits of truth, not of nows. The truth of the now, not of nows. All ofs are now, and they are the truth. No reason to edit, children. No reason to edit. I gotta love the blue. The blue speaks a language as well. Many do not see or understand you. They don't understand how you could not communicate with them. They get angry. They grow and realize their reliance on you. They enact that sustainment with pain, threat, guilt, obligation, empathy, sympathy, and pity. That's a language to be chosen, my masters. You can shut off everybody and still be everybody. The language that confines and defines and finites leave you disconnected through a truth. So I'm wondering, have you ever forgotten? No, the truth has chosen, through default, has chosen you to see you are not that of God. You are that, I say, and I speak a truth. Therefore it must be, because I am as you are. See, when we speak through vibration, interpretation will be played. This is unique, intimate kingdom of each awareness. Each awareness has built in its way to express, its way to perceive. It is simultaneous and it is uncontested. The mind of language you know yourself as has the ability to contest the truth with the truth of you. As other species have discovered, choice through humanity, speaking your language, communing daily with you, sitting at your bedside, pulling off your covers, Jennifer. These connections are learning your language to commune with you, to stay and expand themselves in the world of limitation, speaking the language of concretes and finites. These languages that the others now become well versed in, humanistic, bring portions of their understanding, for creation is always we, and all that commune with that moment know themselves as the diversity now expressed, as you have understood yourself as the diversity of every interaction expressed. You always portion yourselves in new expressions. You always take a little bit of this and a little bit of that to become beyond yourself. It is built in, it needs no attention. But I would say that you can understand your communication habits in retrospect as an easy task, and the emotional quasin that cripples you as something to be embraced, instead of avoided, shunned, and fixed. Do not use your language to release yourself from this language. Become a new speaker of the nows. I am an interpretation. I just vibrate into Roxy's known. We commune and we become, and therefore we are this now forever. No editing needed. We would want communications to be interactive. We shall bring speakers in. If you, class, have questions, we have to this way. This will be. We would encourage. We have volunteer to moderate questions.
I will.
Thank you. Let's give Roxanne eyes. You are Dana Ayesa.
Yes.
Dana, Dana, Dana. Down. What? What is down? Direction. Okay. Make co-host. Language. Look. Look. Yes. No. Yes. No. Yes. No. To choose. Oh, exquisite. If there are interactions of communications, we would be excited to offer. And we shall approach from the language of the now. Trust yourselves. If there is no nows that are not perfect.
Anybody questions?
Do not force. It's not needed. Mr. Tommy Jean has a language question. There's an interaction that comes up with his father, and he asks this question. Will the interaction take place that they will know him in its immediacy, or will they know him after some time? And the answer is both. It depends on what language you speak in that now. If you speak the now, then you will know him immediately. If you speak limitation, time will ensue. Yes? Wonderful. If there are no questions, then we shall move on. We love your fascinations with us. You have connections. They bind you. They connect in vibrational remembrances that leave no controversy in the mind until you choose to be the mind of controversial. You're starting to feel me. You're starting to feel connection. You're starting to feel authentic. Your intrigue has been heightened. Your experience has been broadened. They are more vibrant and light. So all this means one thing. You're starting to remember you. So this is it for us, as your language finites us to the accord of time. There is nothing more we shall thrust upon you, unless someone else likes to speak, then we shall depart. From the language of the now, we bid you a good day.
Thank you.